Okay, this is a brief presentation of modal verbs, presenting might and may. Modal verbs in general are helping verbs that tell you about the mood or attitude of the main verb. For example, you can tell someone that has a different attitude towards the party depending on the modal verb used. There's a big difference between saying I may go to the party, I might go to the party, or I would go to the party, I should go to the party. So modal verbs help expressing mood and attitudes of the main verb. Also important to know is that it always precedes the main verb. The modal auxiliary verbs are always followed by the main verb, and the main verb is in infinitive form. So it's not possible to conjugate the main verb. For example, you say, he may go to the party, not he may goes to the party. Or yesterday, he would have went to the party. You say, yesterday he would have gone to the party. So followed by the main verb in infinitive form. Today we're going to focus, however, on might and may. Ursäkta. Det var lite snabb. Ja, men det var... Jag ska se hur de blev. Okay, so the difference between may and might. The difference is quite subtle, actually. They both indicate that something is possible, but something that may happen is more likely than something that might happen. So you may go to a lesson with your teacher, Gustav is there, but you might go to the lesson if he's sick. Also, using might is comes in handy when something is a mighty stretch, as you say. Imagine something you'd almost never do, and then imagine someone inviting you to do it. So, for example, for me it's eating broccoli, which I hate. So if someone asked me to try wonderfully steamed broccoli, it's unlikely I would. But I could be convinced I could be convinced, but it would be a mighty stretch. So I'd say something less like, I might try it, and pigs might fly too. So very unlikely for me to do it. So imagine basically that whatever it's you'd be reluctant to do but wouldn't completely rule out, and then imagine yourself saying in a nice sarcastic voice like, yeah, I might. And that should help you remember to use might when the outcome is uncertain or unlikely, and to use may when something is more likely to happen, such as, whatever it is. So you might clean your room, but you may call your friends later. You might climb Mount Everest someday, but you may go hiking in the foothills next weekend. So to sum it up, may is more likely than might, which expresses more uncertainty and is more unlikely. Okay, exceptions. There are two exceptions I would like to address here today. The first one deals with the tense, a grammatical issue. Might is the, except from its own function, is the past tense of may. So you have to use might when you're referring to the past. So, for example, yesterday, when you actually want to say, I may have gone to the lesson, you would have to say, I might have gone to the lesson, because that expresses something yesterday in the past. So whenever you are supposed to use may in the past becomes might. And the second exception is actually quite a gray area, deals with permission. Imagine when you're talking about something that is not going to happen, it may sometimes be better to actually use might, because otherwise people could think that you're talking about a permission, because that's another function of the word may. Let's take an example. If you aren't sure whether or not you'll go to the party, you say, we may not go to the party. But that could also be misinterpreted as that you don't have the permission to go to the party. And this is more especially in writing. because otherwise, in speaking you'll see facial expressions, voice inflections, and other things that helps you. But in writing, it's important. So, essentially, it's better to say we might not go to the party, even if you're expressing the same thing as we may not go to the party. But in this case, may might be interpreted as something that you're not allowed to. He may not come to the party, instead of he might not come to the party. Okay, let's move on. This is just a summary of what we've said. We use may when the outcome is more likely than might, basically. So if you know that something is probable, you use the word may. When the outcome is uncertain or even unlikely, you would have to use might. However, when it comes to negative outcomes, so things that you're not, like the example I showed you before, you are not going to the party, it's better to use might instead of may, because may also have a function of permission, that someone is not allowed to go to a party. Okay, hope this helps you with the exercises in the book.